So good. Lancaster! Hey, goodies.
That's you.
I'm Jason Mundock, and this is So Good Lancaster. As summer winds down, baseball season is in full swing, with teams fighting to make the playoffs. There was a time when I, too, was a slugger looking to play in the big games. But my baseball claim to fame was that I was a Midget League home run hero.
Oh, there you go.
Home run.
Were you really?
Yeah, Midget League, my final. Now, it's like in 1983. I was like 12. That was it. That was all I got. I home run king for 1 year, hit 5 out of the park, and then gave it up for guitars and girls and things of that nature.
We could have you cross the street for BP.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, 320 down left field line. You got that.
No problem. Those days are ancient history, and not a history that a baseball historian is likely to pay much attention to. But there's another historical baseball story that took center stage, or maybe center field, this year, when local baseball historian Jeremy Raff made it his mission to tell the story of the only Major League Baseball games played right here in Lancaster. Get this, 100 years ago, in 1925. It's the story of the Harrisburg Giants, a Negro League baseball team that played at Rossmere Baseball Park in Lancaster from 1925 to 1927. We'll get into the full story soon. Jeremy took the project to a number of community partners, including our own professional club, the Lancaster Stormers.
And I had kind of said, hey, I'd love to do something with the Stormers on this. Like, that just kind
Makes
of makes sense. It seems like a win for everyone. And they said, hey, let's set something up. And kind of the initial idea was, hey, it'd be really cool to do a Negro Leagues night. But how can we take that to the next level?
With the Stormers, the celebration turned into a big night at the ballpark back on June 20th of 2025. Stormers president and general manager Michael Reynolds joined the conversation as well.
And so it made perfect sense from day one. And then it got legs as the conversations kept going. Some of my colleagues who worked on it more directly with Jeremy and Arelis, they put a lot of time and effort into it to take what was, hey, let's just celebrate the team, to actually, let's take the entire night to celebrate the team and the history of it.
We're talking about Major League Baseball in Lancaster with baseball historian Jeremy Raff and the history and evolution of the Lancaster Stormers and all of the community events that the organization brings to the Lancaster community at Penn Medicine Park with Michael Reynolds. Our So Good music feature is the song Pure Gold by Bad Hints. Stay tuned to the end of the show to check it out. So Good Lancaster is powered by the Candy Factory, also known as TCF, a co-working and social club in downtown Lancaster, Pennsylvania. ClubTCF.com.
Check it out.
It's time. This is So Good.
So good.
So Good Lancaster.
It was a project to tell an important story of significant baseball history right here in Lancaster. And it happened
In collaboration with a bunch of partners, primarily Community Action Partnership, the Lancaster Stormers.
This is Jeremy.
I'm Jeremy Raff. I'm a local baseball historian and work for School District of Lancaster. Really tried to tell the story of the Harrisburg Giants, who played their Sunday games here in Lancaster 100 years ago. So they played, they were a Negro Leagues team, and they played Sunday games here, including Major League games, the only Major League games in Lancaster's history. So it was an opportunity to celebrate that. There really had been no recognition of them in their 100 years. So it was putting together some events with the Stormers, Lancaster History, CAP, to try and tell that story and celebrate it a bit this summer, which we were really happy to do. It was really a lot of fun.
Now, you're from Lancaster.
Yeah.
When did you find out about this team?
So I learned about this in 2021, which I was reading about Oscar Charleston, who's a Hall of Fame outfielder from the Giants, and had stumbled upon this kind of throwaway line about him playing a game in Lancaster. And I kind of did a double take of like, wait, what? I grew up in Lancaster my whole life playing baseball and had no idea. And so it kind of set me down a rabbit hole of like, what's going on here? And found a little bit about this history that just shocked me and was like, why don't I know about this? So that's kind of how I initially found it, and then dug into the story more and did a bunch of research, spent way too much time digging into it. And, that's kind of what led to here.
So it's not a well-known story.
No.
Up till now.
No, it really hadn't been. So one of the things that struck me was, years ago, Lancaster History and some organizations did a history of baseball in Lancaster, and it barely had a mention. There's a plaque about the history of baseball in Lancaster outside of Penn Medicine Park. no reference to it. Like it's just been overlooked. But if you go back and you read like the game logs, I mean, thousands of people came out to this. These were, 5,000 people coming out to see games in the 1920s. I mean, that's a big event.
That's pretty remarkable.
So, it just kind of was forgotten to the sands of time. It seemed like a story, especially given how overlooked black ball players at that time in the Negro Leagues had been, a story that was important to tell. And I think for even folks that maybe don't care about baseball, it's a story that I think it's doing justice to bring that to light and celebrate these players and what they accomplished.
So you mentioned they played on Sundays. Why specifically Sundays?
So Pennsylvania's blue laws meant that professional baseball couldn't be played on Sundays. So
wait, back up.
Yep.
Baseball couldn't be played on Sunday.
Yes. So because of blue laws, just like you can't, you still can't buy alcohol some places on Sundays, you weren't allowed to do professional sports. So this was something like that made it to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court in the 1920s. Like the Philadelphia Athletics had sued about this because, Sunday's a big money-making day. They wanted to be able to play and get that revenue.
Well, sure. And if you're a spectator and you work during the week,
that's your leisure time.
That's your day to go to the ball game.
So we're not 100% sure why, but it seems likely on what we've seen, they were able to basically get through a loophole in the law. So the field, which is Rossmere Baseball Park, which is where Lancaster Catholic is now, was owned by a Catholic charitable organization. And the blue laws had a loophole for charitable organizations that could, if it was a charitable exercise, it would be okay. So they leased the field to the Giants and lots of other teams who could then play games. And because it was a money-making operation for the charity, they could get around it. So
wow.
That appears to be the most likely reason. What's really cool is that organization still exists today. So they've been around since, the early 1920s. And so they even helped, they're called the St. Joseph's Catholic Club. They even helped fund some of this project, which is really cool, kind of full circle moment.
No, absolutely. Well, you mentioned that these games were Major League.
Mm-hmm.
So were they part of what we know of as the MLB?
So at that time, they were not. Okay. So they played, exhibition games, which, some of the boxers, they just like decimated the local teams. These were like Hall of Fame level players. But in 2020, Major League Baseball officially recognized 7 of the Negro Leagues as Major League Baseball. Like these are the same as what the Phillies, the Orioles, teams you would think of.
Sure.
From those times. So
and that caliber of player.
Yeah. So, the 1925 team had 2 Hall of Famers. It had a basketball Hall of Famer. Like these were very talented teams. And so they've officially been given that recognition that it's no different than what we would commonly think of as Major League Baseball.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Which makes Lancaster then a city that has had Major League Baseball.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. And it's a big feather in our cap and not something a lot of cities can say.
Talk to me about some of the players who played on the field and what you know about them, what you like about them.
So Oscar Charleston is who initially drew me to it. He is a inner circle Hall of Famer. He's just unbelievable. So 5-tool player. He could run, he could hit, he could field. He led the league in hitting, all the time in the 1920s. Just exceptional player, married a woman from Harrisburg, so he has some Central PA connections, which is pretty neat.
Yeah.
And then ended up scouting for the Brooklyn Dodgers when they signed Jackie Robinson years later. He's who initially drew me to the team, but I think the player that's been coolest to learn about is a guy named Rap Dixon, who probably should be in the Baseball Hall of Fame. And I got to know his great niece, who lives in Harrisburg area, through this project. And just hearing some of kind of the family stories, he's a guy who was one of the first Negro League players to play in Japan. They did a huge tour. Did so well. He was given a trophy by the emperor. Like these really cool stories. First black player to hit a home run at Yankee Stadium. Like these really, really impressive figure who, kind of his star shone brightly for a short time. But yeah, just really, really neat guy who also, was Steelton, kind of Harrisburg area as well.
So you discover this team. Obviously, there's a connection to Lancaster that's been lost, and you as an historian yourself are interested in making this come to life. talk through that process of the idea of like, I want to do something to make this thing a reality. What do you do? Who do you contact? How do you reach collaborative partners?
Yeah, I think that's what I've enjoyed the most about this is the collaborative efforts from it. So I previously worked at the Mix, which is a youth center in Lancaster City. So I have, in working with School District Lancaster, a lot of kind of nonprofit connections. So one of the first people I reached out to was Jes Plain at Community Action Partnership and just said, I'm friends with her husband, who's a big baseball fan. I was like, hey, I think this is something that I'd love to do this. And at that point it was, we want to put a marker up to celebrate this. And she said, hey, this is really cool. I think we could do this. And it kind of expanded to, well, let's do a commemorative beer with Springhouse. And then what about bringing the Stormers on board? And it kind of slowly evolved into this much bigger and more time-consuming effort that involved, Lancaster history and the Stormers and all these. So, and has just taken on a whole different kind of life form with it, which has been really cool and a way to reach different people with that story. So whether it's through this or through a more of a a photo exhibit or the game with the Stormers, it just provide a lot of different opportunities to engage people where they are and help tell the story and connect them with it.
What's really fascinating about a project like this is when you connect with other organizations, what you do is you give them an opportunity to do what they already do through a different lens. Right? Like Lancaster history, for example, they preserve the history of this area. You're not really asking them to do something they're not doing, just giving them a topic to work with. And the Stormers is another good example because the Lancaster Stormers are Lancaster baseball today in 2025, 100 years later. What was that collaboration like between this project, your project, and the Stormers?
Yeah, and some of that I think came out of those conversations too. So it was Jes Plain, someone at CAP had worked at the Stormers before and said, and I had kind of said, hey, I'd love to do something with the Stormers on this. Like that just kind of makes sense. It seems like a win for everyone. And they said, hey, let's set something up. And kind of the initial idea was, hey, it'd be really cool to do a Negro Leagues night, but how can we take that to the next level? And the idea of doing commemorative jerseys kind of grew from that. Let's have some speeches, try and get descendants there. It kind of grew into that in a way that I think was mutually beneficial. It got everyone, a lot of press about it, public attention on it, and I think excitement, and got people to the ballpark, which is obviously, beneficial for the Stormers and was beneficial for the project as well.
If you have workplace flexibility and can work from anywhere, you probably know how lonely it can get working all day, every day in the same building where you sleep, i.e. your house. TCF Co-working and Social Club in Lancaster is the solution. Get out of the house, work around other humans in real life, and get social with a ton of clubs, activities, and events. TCF offers community, full-time, and private office memberships and day passes if you're just passing through town. Check out clubtcf.com, book a tour, and get plugged in. The partnership with the Stormers culminated in a big night at the ballpark on June 20th, 2025, with the entire game serving as a celebration of the Harrisburg Giants.
So before the game, myself and Ted Knorr, who's another baseball historian, who's an actual baseball historian, I'm just kind of cosplaying as one, but he's local and does that very well. Spoke briefly before the game, and then the team took the field wearing the jerseys, and throughout the whole night there were things on the Jumbotron talking about, facts about the team that had played. I'd worked with staff there to kind of set those up. And even before that, a short film that myself and Joseph Mobley, a friend, put together for the Lancaster History exhibit played about the history of baseball in Lancaster, specifically black baseball in Lancaster. And then throughout the game, there was an opportunity to bid on those jerseys. So you could, after the game, people could get the jerseys they had purchased with funds from that going to Community Action Partnership. So it kind of became all throughout the game. It was ingrained throughout.
What a fantastic collaboration. Why was this important for the Stormers? Why was it important for the Stormers to take this on, this project?
We call the stadium a community center for Lancaster County and Central PA.
This is Michael.
Michael Reynolds, President, General Manager of Penn Medicine Park and Lancaster Stormers. we try to celebrate different parts of our community throughout the entire year. So when Arelis and Christy from Community Action Partnership came to us, I think it was in the fall of 24, it just made sense. One, from a baseball perspective. I mean, we are the local baseball team, and this was a professional baseball team 100 years ago. But also from the community standpoint, we try to use baseball to bring the community together, and we try to use a stadium to celebrate the community and bring anyone from Central PA together to enjoy each other's company and just to be together. And so this, I mean, it made perfect sense from day one. And then it got legs as the conversations kept going. Some of my colleagues who worked on it more directly with Jeremy and Arelis, they put a lot of time and effort into it to take what was, hey, let's just celebrate the team, to actually, let's take the entire night to celebrate the team and the history of it. And one, I'm very fortunate for Kristen and Alex, who I work with, and put a lot of energy into it. And from a standpoint of the uniforms, the team won that night. It was a great game.
It was.
The uniforms were, like, people loved the idea of the uniforms and the hats in the celebration of it. So it worked out well.
Gives you a peek into the past.
We do it. We do different uniforms often throughout the year. Every Sunday, we partner with Penn State Health and have a uniform that was designed by a child that was sick, and we celebrate those children every Sunday and wear those uniforms. We actually have a Lebanon Iron Masters weekend, and so we renamed the team for an entire weekend, wearing Lebanon uniforms. Actually, we've done it 4 years, and ironically, the team is 12-0. So I like to say it's the only professional sports team that is undefeated. And so then, when we did the Harrisburg ones, it's easier because we've done it before. We know how to do it, but the fans really enjoy it, and be able to. This one was great because we could tell a story. Like, there's the Iron Masters didn't exist 100 years ago. It's our way of connecting with the Lebanon community, and it's been great. But this is really deep history here with this team celebrating the 100 years. They played right here in Lancaster. Jeremy, they did an amazing job bringing, just the information and data, and it was a really great night to honor something that existed 100 years ago.
100 years ago, it was the Harrisburg Giants taking the field in Lancaster. But for the past 21 years, professional baseball has been all about the four-time Atlantic League champions, the Lancaster Stormers. I wanted to learn more about the genesis of the team and how it came to be. Like, how did that even happen? I was here, right? I've lived here since 1999. I remember, the talk of it, the building of the stadium, and that sort of thing. What sparked that, if you could go back in time?
I wasn't in the original conversation, but there's a group called Bring Baseball Back. There's a plaque on the ballpark, and actually they still have a suite. A couple of the members of that group have a suite that they use throughout the year. And there was a team, the Red Roses, back in the day that played here, and this group really wanted to bring baseball back. They wanted a stadium here. It is a community that could, support a team via, obviously sponsorship, but also with tickets and attendance. And so I believe the organization was started in the late 80s, I believe, and they worked for many years to find a location, find the dollars to fund a stadium, the building of a stadium, and then eventually landed on a franchise within the Atlantic League. So it was a
That's a journey, right?
It was a couple decades, yes.
Wow. I know that the Stormers are a loved entity in this community. Like, Lancaster loves local.
Yes.
Small business, things that are manufactured here. The community itself is very supportive of itself. And I feel that way with the baseball team as well. Do you guys feel that?
Oh, we definitely feel that. It's pretty remarkable what this organization and what this community has done for this team. When a team starts in a city, they always do well. Like, everyone wants to be part of it. They want to buy tickets. They want to go out. I mean, we have photos in the stadium of opening night where the line was down the walkway to Prince Street and up to James Street. It was truly magical. I wasn't here for it, but I hear stories, and it was like that for a couple of years. And then, so the first game was May 11th of 2005. 05, 06, 07 were great, and then 08, a couple of things happened. One being the recession, where businesses and individuals weren't spending as much for a want. It wasn't a need, right? It's a want and discretionary income. But also what happened is the shine starts to come off the car. So if you are selling transactions and not building relationships, you're going to lose business support and you're going to lose individuals from supporting. So the team really took a dip under the previous ownership group. And so our current ownership group, who also built, actually two of them went to F&M college and built, they started Clipper Magazine in their dorm room. And they were initially the name and right partners, because it was Clipper Magazine Stadium up until 6-7 months ago. They became investors. And then over the course of the first 10 years of the team being here, 8-9 years, they seen a dip in really what they wanted the team to be, and that was a community asset. And it was a business for the other owners, and it wasn't ran the way that these current owners want it to be run. Truly want it to be an asset. It's a business. It's a for-profit business,
Absolutely.
but we want it to be an asset. We want to be good neighbors, and we want to be a great reason why people want to come to the city, right? So these guys took over. There was a chance the team was going to close, and it just wasn't doing that well, but they didn't want to see the stadium close. So these individuals took over the team. The four previous owners of Clipper Magazine, and they did it so the team could continue to exist. And what's happened over the last 10 years since they took it over is I say it's magical. Like I get emotional even thinking about it. My first year here was the summer of 17. And I can remember, like, our opening weekend was amazing. The attendance was wild for my first weekend here in Lancaster. And then we had a game that Monday night. We don't play on Mondays anymore, thank God. But it was a Monday night. I was standing on the first base concourse. And I had come from basketball, where you have games every 3 or 4 days, not every night. And so it's easier to, with attendance.
Sure.
Less games, your attendance tends to be a little higher. But I was standing with a colleague who she had been there for... she has since retired, but Mo Wheeler, and she had been there for a while. And we were standing on the first base concourse, and I just looked at her and I'm like, oh, man, I'm going to get myself fired. She goes, why? I was like, there's no one here. And she said, oh, this is every weeknight. And it really, to me, I'm like, oh, no, this can't be accepted. This cannot be acceptable. Like, why are people not coming? Why do they not want to support the team? And I had already known this, but we were selling transactions previously. We were not building relationships. And yes, we need to sell sponsorships. We need to sell tickets. We need people to come and have a hot dog or a beer or whatever to really help fund the team and give back. But what we did at the time was we had to regain the trust of the community, and specifically the business community. And the one thing we started with, we started selling these corporate season tickets where businesses, if you go to the stadium, you'll see wraps on the seats where people get to put their company logo, phone number, and they're not buying. Yes, they're getting a logo on the seat, but really not all 4,000 people that come to the ballpark are going to see that one seat. But for us, building a relationship with that business and giving them other pieces of inventory, whether it be marketing opportunities or celebrations of birthdays on the video board, they were becoming part of our family. And I truly believe we started doing that halfway through 17. And it is amazing how many businesses are now involved in the stadium throughout the year. I mean, we have guests on site 331 days out of the year. Today alone, we have 2 corporate parties on the stadium. The team's on the road in North Carolina, but we have 300 guests in the stadium today.
Wow.
Right? We have over 100 corporate season tickets. We have individuals having corporate parties throughout the entire year. We actually had to take part of our press box this year and turn it into a suite, because halfway through the year last year, we were sold out of hospitality spaces. And yes, we have birthdays and anniversaries and things like that for games, but a lot of our corporate space and hospitality space is rented for corporate businesses doing employee engagement or client engagement. And it is just amazing how many businesses use the stadium and a Stormers game specifically to have a fun night out for their employees or for the customers or even prospects. And we are thankful for how many businesses have become involved in the stadium over the years. And I tell this to a lot of people, and I truly mean it. There are not many communities that can have a successful team from the get-go, dip as low as this organization dipped, and then come back and be as successful as it is. At this moment, there are 4 MLB partner leagues, the American Association, the Frontier League, Pioneer League, and then the Atlantic League, which is a league that we're in. There are 52 teams in between those 4 leagues. We have the 4th highest attendance.
Wow.
There's Long Island, which think about their population there. Then there's 2 teams in the American Association, Kane County and Schaumburg, and 2 suburbs of Chicago, Illinois. And then there's Lancaster, PA. And then if you think about Lancaster, PA, we have 3 other baseball teams within 40 minutes. You have Reading, Harrisburg, York. So it's not like we're pulling from entire. So when I say we truly are getting amazing support from the local Lancaster community, we are getting support from the local Lancaster community, and it's amazing.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Stormers fan?
Yeah, and I would say, it's funny you mention that. I mean, I think of just working for School District Lancaster, best graduation experience there can be. At the ballpark with fireworks going off, or I've been to events there at the ballpark, and it's just fun. I remember trying to eat while batting practice is going. So yeah, it is just a great experience, and I love taking my kids there. I've ridden the carousel many times. It's a fun experience.
Hold on tight when it starts.
Yes, and it goes for a while, but it is a fun family experience, and I love it.
Talk to me about the War of the Roses.
York Revolution, who York is the White Rose City, Lancaster being the Red Rose City. Having 2 teams in the same league so close, it just makes it a lot of fun. We are very competitive both on and off the field with the York Revolution. If you follow either of the social media teams, they are good at throwing jabs at each other. But on the field, we are competitive, right? We try to be very respectful to each other, not crossing what I call the ocean of Susquehanna for sales. But if we're playing the York Revolution, there are many fans here from York to watch the 2 teams go after each other. And same thing when we go there, our fans go there as well. And it's become an annual tradition of who's going to win the series. But the players love it. The coaches love it. We have a trophy that gets filled with either red or white roses at the end of the year, depending on who wins the series. Obviously, we all really care about winning the championship in the league, but if neither one of us are going to win the championship, we at least want the red rose. The War of the Roses trophy.
Are you looking for the perfect space for your next meeting, media project, or private event? Well, TCF has you covered. Our conference rooms are perfect for meetings with your team or your clients. Our media studio can accommodate photography, audio, and video production. And our 6th floor venue has everything you need to throw an unforgettable private party or retreat. Book now at lancastervenue.com and take your next event to the next level. While baseball is and always will be the primary focus of Penn Medicine Park, Michael and his team are on a mission to be a tremendous asset to the Lancaster community in general, hosting all kinds of other events at the stadium throughout the year.
Well, and it's the baseball, I always tell people, we have the artificial turf, and maybe I'm a baseball traditionalist, but I also run a business in baseball. The artificial turf has allowed us to still offer a safe and consistent playing surface for our athletes who are, by the way, here trying to play to get out into Major League Baseball. Many of them will stay with us for the entire year, but their goal is to be here as short as possible so they can play Major League Baseball. And that's our goal for them as well. But we're also running a business, and a lot of these outdoor baseball stadiums and venues are going with artificial turf so they can have all these other events. So with us having other events, the goal is to how do we have these events while still offering, again, a safe and consistent playing surface for the athletes. The last thing you need is to have an event on the field, natural grass, there's a hole, divot, you have a guy running to make a diving catch, he breaks an ankle. And what are you doing for these athletes? When you buy a membership into the Atlantic League, you have to guarantee that you are the primary tenant of the ballpark.
Got it.
So the Stormers they are the primary tenant. They'll always be the anchor and the reason the stadium exists. But all these other events that we have, 1, allows us to give back to the community. 2, allows us to get other people who may not be into sports, allows them to use this community asset for a company outing or a corporate event or a birthday celebration or anniversary, or even our goal is to have 4, eventually we'll get there, 4 prime community events that are free for the community. One's coming up, our July 4th celebration, which will be the 5th year of it. That we have it on July 3rd, the night before July 4th. Last year we had 7,200 guests at it.
Wow!
Free for the community, and it ends with an amazing fireworks celebration. But we have a rock climbing wall, we have bounce houses, the kids park's free. We have a pet and zoo coming this year, but it's a free community gathering.
That's amazing.
And if we can have 4 or 5 of those throughout the year, The reason we're able to do it is because how many people support the Stormers, right? So the Stormers' success has allowed us to open up the doors for so many other events. And again, it's just we're thankful for how much support the community has given us, whether it be from a business or an individual coming out for a family night of baseball.
One of the episodes that we produced a little while ago was about the Christmas Spirit Light Show.
Yes.
That happens at the stadium. That's a great example of driving your car through the stadium.
Yes.
What a great thing for the community. It's become a tradition for families in this area to load everybody up in the car and head over to the baseball stadium to go through a drive-through light show. It's really cool.
It's a great event. We love the event. A lot of prep goes into the event. You'll have front row seats of it in this next year, right outside your windows.
Absolutely.
That show, Christopher Brink, who runs that, my first year when I lived in Lancaster, we actually went to his first year. He had it at the Neffsville Park. So it took at the time, I only had 3 children at the time, but took the wife and I and the kids went there, and we absolutely loved it. We just loved the idea of that it was synchronized to music, the lights, like changing lights. It was awesome. And we went to another show that's local, and it was just static. You drive through, but it's just static. And I was like, man, that other show outdid this one. It was amazing. And so in 2018, we had the intent of, when I first got here, the primary thing was get baseball back, like solidify a baseball business, get people to enjoy it, and have relationships, not just transactions at the stadium, but how do we do other things for the community? And so in my second summer, in 2018, we're like, okay, I think we can have somewhat of a Christmas event at the stadium. Mm-hmm. And so I remember an event that we had in Reno when I lived out there, worked for a basketball team. And so the Christmas tree lane was born. So that's where we get businesses to sponsor a tree, and then the nonprofits attached to it, and people donate money, and all that money goes to the nonprofit. I'm like, oh, it'd be cool if we could cross promote this with another event. So I called Christopher Brink and said, hey, I went to your show last year. Would love to cross promote with you these 2 Christmas events in Lancaster County. And he goes, that'd be great, but I think I'm going to need a new spot. The neighbors in township, they don't want me back. Too much light. I was like, well, have it here at the stadium. I asked him, how long of a course do you need? He goes, probably like a mile. And I go, I think we can do that. He goes, who do I talk to? I go, me. Well, I go, we'll do it. So we came down and we mapped it out to what the course is today. And talk about just an amazing partnership that we've been able to, hold that event now since 2018. We get 14,000 vehicles. We've had tickets purchased from 16 different states.
Wow.
It is. You go there so we open on Black Friday. If you go there on Black Friday, I do this every year. Honestly, God, I'll go there. It opens at 5:30. But I will make sure at 5:15 I'll go out there and I'll just look at the license plates, and you'll have New Jersey, New York, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and it goes back to Delaware, like open, because everyone's in town visiting family, and it's become a tradition and open at night. But if you check the license plates throughout the entire month of December, people are just coming from all over. It's become, people really, really do enjoy that show.
We expanded to 2 cars this year.
Did you?
The Stormers are wrapping up season 21 this year. The first 19 seasons, they were known as the Lancaster Barnstormers. The team changed their name to the Stormers with a fresh logo for their 20th season in 2024. I couldn't pass up the opportunity to ask Michael how the Lancaster Stormers came to be. 20-year history. First 19 is the Lancaster Barnstormers. And suddenly in the 20th year, it's the Lancaster Stormers. Why the change?
I'll give you the whole story. So we were going into our 20th year, and we wanted to have a 20th year logo. So we were going to celebrate 20 years with a new logo. Not a new logo, but a logo just to celebrate 20 years.
Sure.
So we hired a company out of Sky Brandon out of New Jersey, who did actually in 2016, we hosted the Atlantic League All-Star Game, and he did our logo for the 2016 All-Star Game. And we just said, hey, we'd like to do a 20th year celebration with a logo for the year. And we had a team. There was probably too many of us, but there was 8 of us from our staff, one of the owners, and we all sat in a room and we just started talking about what we would think this logo should be. And at the time we used the L script quite a bit. If you remember, the L script was a very common logo that we used. And the reason we used the L script is because the barn logo just was dated. And the barn logo, there's no character. Nothing against barns, but you really can't put any in. Like we couldn't put two eyes and a smiley face on a barn and have it be attractive to the entire market. Maybe kids, like very cartoon character-y thing. So we had already transitioned to just using the L script, and I was like, well, if we're gonna look for a 20th year logo, do we entertain the idea of having a new logo? And so we've won the best ballpark in the league. We've won best customer service, like best mascot. There's a lot of contests that the league holds, and then also minor league baseball websites and things hold. And though we've won a lot of best of this and that, we've always been at the bottom of logo competitions because that barn logo, it just didn't really. There was not enough character in it. So we're like, do we want a new logo? Rather than a 20th year logo, do we just go for a new logo? And as we were starting to have those conversations, we're like, well, is it time to drop the barn? Because some people were upset that we dropped the barn from the name, but a barn has nothing to do with barnstormers. A barnstormer is either, back in the day, was a professional sports team or a baseball team that would jump city to city playing baseball, or it's a plane. Has nothing to do with the barn. So there was really no connection. People made the connection barn to barnstormers because we're in a heavy agriculture area, Lancaster County. Even before we changed the name, if you ever went to a Lancaster Stormers game, Lancaster Barnstormers game at the time, everyone said "Go Stormers." It was if there was a chant, it was "Go Stormers, let's go Stormers." It wasn't "Let's go Barnstormers." The few people that were upset about it afterwards, they probably even said "Let's go Stormers" when. So it just made sense. Like if we're gonna go through a whole rebrand, let's not do it in sections. Let's just go for it. And we still wanted to keep it tied to agriculture, obviously with the bull. We didn't want to lose like the Lancaster County connection, but previously our name didn't match a logo, even though the word barn is in the name Barnstormers. Again, it's not connected to a barn. So having the bull keeps us close to the agriculture culture here in Lancaster County, but we could then still have the name Stormers. So we went through a couple different mascot options, and we ended on the bull, which has strength, energy. There's a lot of character with it. If you're a 50-year-old male or a 10-year-old girl, like the bull has a connection with you. So it's worked out well. Sure, initially there was some.
There's always going to be pushback.
Yeah,
if you're not getting pushback, you're not doing your job.
Right. Yeah, I thought it was going to be 50-50. Honestly, I thought it turned out to, in my opinion, based on social media and the emails we got, it was probably 85% positive at the time, 50% pushback, which was a lot better than I thought. Although I will tell you, so we did that the same year we went with the artificial turf. So I knew that I had done it either right or wrong when there was a hashtag Fire Mike Reynolds. So I made it as a sports executive that there was a group that wanted me out of here because of, by the way, I did not make any decision on my own. We are a team there. We all work together on the decisions, but I made it in the sports world.
Thanks to baseball historian Jeremy Raff and Stormers president and general manager Michael Reynolds for sharing how this incredible collaboration came to be to share the story of the Harrisburg Giants. And, of course, to share the history and mission of the Lancaster Stormers and Penn Medicine Park. Hey, goodies, we do love hearing from you. Let us know what you think of today's episode or if you have any fun ideas for upcoming shows. Head on over to sogoodlancaster.com and submit your comments, or find us posting about the show on the Lancaster subreddit on, you guessed it, Reddit. Our So Good music featured today is Pure Gold from the Lancaster artist Bad Hints. Tell me about this song, Pure Gold. It's come up in conversation with other musicians. People are talking about this particular song to me. And so I wanted to dig into this with you and hear your take on the song Pure Gold.
So I was living in like a camper.
This is Jes Plain.
And I just had this little collection of blurbs, I would call them. And I had the first chorus or the first verse of that song just kind of bopping around my head for ages. And I kind of was like, okay, today I'm just going to sit down and see if I can make it into a song. And they kind of all came together, and I got it completed beginning to end. But the chorus was totally different. The chorus was just Pure Gold 4 times. And so when I went to record it, was like, okay, it's recorded. I don't know. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't love it. I was working with my husband. He was producing with me, and I like think I took a walk or something. I came back, and he was like, listen to this crazy drum thing. And it was the drums that are in Pure Gold. And he was kind of showing it to me almost like, this sounds so crazy. It was like an accident. He like had slowed down a loop or had programmed something. I don't even remember anymore. Like something had gotten slowed down weirdly and he put it over the song. And I just remember pulling off the headphones and going, I don't know what this is, but we're using this. It was still this like thing where I was just like, I don't know. We get to the chorus and I just, oh, like, why isn't this working? And so it was 2-chord structure. And I was like, this is just so boring to me. I was like, what's another song that like just says the same thing 4 times? And why does it work? And so the first thing that I thought of was Jolene by Dolly Parton. And I was like, okay, why does that work? And I listened to it, and the first thing I realized, well, it's a 4-chord structure. So I was like, okay, how can I get 4 chords here? And the second that I figured out how to get 4 chords, an entirely new chorus went into my brain, where it was, I know what you'll say. I mean, it was just completely different, and it happened so fast. It was like a lightning bolt, you know? And so then once the song was done, we added Dolly Parton's voice to it. And so her interview on Johnny Carson is kind of quietly there the whole time. And it's her laugh at the end of the track.
That was Pure Gold by Bad Hints. Until we meet again, stay good, Lancaster. Stay good. So Good Lancaster is produced at So Good Media in Lancaster, Pennsylvania by yours truly and Ann Kirby. Follow us online at sogoodlancaster.com and follow us on all of the socials. Have any comments, questions, or want to learn more about how So Good Media can help you with your podcast and media productions? Drop us a line at hello@sogoodmedia.studio.